Right, you find me editing a video. Mrs. Cold Smoking and I had a fantastic visit to Northern Ireland, and while we were there, one of the places that I wanted to visit was North Coast Smokehouse, run by Rory here. He was recently featured on a BBC television programme, B&B by the Sea, and if you're interested in smoked salmon, hot smoked salmon, this is the guy to come and see. I bought some hot smoked trout from him while we were there, and it was sublime. I didn't get a chance to taste his smoked salmon because I'm guessing he'd sold it all, and that's unsurprising really. It's got a fantastic little setup. Hope you liked the video. Tell me what you think in the comments. In the meantime, I'll see you at the end. Oh, they look amazing, don't they?
Straight out of the water, you can see the beauty. It's an organic farm, which means you need to give them much more room.
Yes.
In order to avoid the risk, but you don't get tails like that.
They look in such good condition.
Farmed fish, anyway. They are absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And we're lucky to have such Glenarm organic salmon would be highly sought after all over the world. And we're lucky to be able to just go.
You're in a fantastic place to do that.
So these are harvested. They're the staff on board bleed them, which means that they don't get any blood throughout the system. And then they go straight into iced water. So these would have been killed about an hour and a half ago, into iced water, brought ashore. I pick them up straight onto ice. They go straight into my fridge. So I'm 100% confident that these are fresh.
They're lovely.
Yeah,
they look amazing.
So I get the fish whole,
yeah,
and gut and fillet them myself. The carcasses and heads and viscera, I give them to a friend of mine who's a lobster fisherman.
Oh, right.
Perfect.
Okay,
And so that gets returned to the ocean.
Fantastic.
And it's got a use. It can be difficult disposing of material, food waste.
Yeah, it can be.
Raw fish.
It can be.
Well, that's
So
ideal.
we have a good fridge here, which operates between 1 and 2 degrees.
Wow.
Here's some of our cured salmon.
Wow.
So
You cure that with salt, sugar,
salt, sugar, yep. Our own personal
blend. Secret blend.
Everybody's got, but I use 3 ingredients. So that pure sea salt, Demerara sugar, and soft brown sugar as well. And that combination that comes to about that.
That's very nice.
And the length of time that we cure it for is another one of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Secrets. Now,
I'm not even going to ask.
No, you'll know that.
He's got his own.
You'll know that the curing side of it's not really for preservation. It's more to remove some of the moisture, so that it's possible
absolutely.
as well, and to impart a bit of flavour.
Yes,
It's not really. It's not cured fish in the sense of being able to then store it outside of refrigeration.
Sure.
But we don't take into account the saltiness of it when we're doing our shelf life stuff. It's basically we're considering it just to be cooked salmon. Gives us 10 days.
Right.
We test it periodically to make sure that there's nothing wrong with our systems. But
So when they're doing the testing, they're doing bacterial testing and also water activity levels and things like that, or is it just bacterial?
Bacterial testing. If you want to get more than 10 days, you need to test for other much more rigorously.
Yeah, sure.
So when it's vacuum packed, the main risk would be Clostridium, which can give you Clostridium botulinum will give you botulism.
Yeah. I guess there's a listeria as well you've got to worry about.
Well, that's right, but the cook step should kill any listeria.
Yeah.
The cook step doesn't necessarily kill the Clostridium spores.
No.
They could potentially grow if even kept refrigerated. It varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but
because it's anaerobic, isn't it? So
that's right.
even if it's under vacuum,
it can
thrive.
grow under vacuum. So 10 days is the maximum, unless you're going to do more rigorous testing. And if you want, you can eliminate the risk of that or reduce it down to negligible by the addition of preservatives or the addition of extra salt. If you've got quite high salt levels, it won't grow. But we've just designed our product to be good to eat rather than good to sit on the shelf. So
because that salt level, it's a very personal thing, isn't it?
Well, it is. That's
right. Some people are very sensitive to salt and they don't like it, and I sort of got a Eastern Mediterranean palate, so my level of salt tolerance is quite high.
Quite high, yeah.
But some people really do.
Well, that's right. There's also a lot of my customers are at least as old as I am, or older, and a lot of men in particular try and keep their sodium levels down.
True.
So we try not to add too much, but we don't measure for salt content. That's done just by palatability. But certainly, if people taste something that's very salty, they think, "Oh, you shouldn't be eating that. It's not good."
No, brilliant.
So we cut and fill it in here, and before we started the business, I used very small domestic style equipment, and we produced a beautiful, unrivaled product in my view. So when we moved back to Northern Ireland, we got a grant from Invest NI, which is one of the local business support agencies, to give us, to carry out some research with a tertiary education place. So one of the colleges specialised in food technology, and so what we wanted to do was to try and identify what larger scale equipment would produce the same product, and we couldn't find a larger smoker that produced the same product. The eating qualities of our hot smoked salmon produced in one of the small ones was considerably different from the larger scale things. So we rethought what the whole project was going to be about, and instead of having larger scale equipment, we just multiplied. So we now use multiples of the small
kilns
stuff that we had perfected our product on.
Perfect.
And there were some kind of unforeseen benefits of that.
Sometimes bigger isn't better, is it?
That's exactly right. If you want to fill a large smoker, you have to first of all prepare a lot of product before it goes in there and keep that all refrigerated. Transfer it rapidly into your smoker, smoke it all together, then you've got the issue of getting it all chilled at the same time, and then all packed without leaving stuff lying around. The way I work at the moment, I've got 4 small smokers I keep on the go, so I fill one, it goes into the smoke room, and then I prepare cut pin bone and portion up the next one, fill that up, get that on, and do a third one, and then I prepare a 4th one, by which time the first one is finished its smoking process. It goes into the blast chiller, and then I put the 4th one onto there, and I can wash and clean that one and refill this one. So I can do batches of from 1 kilo up to however long I can keep going before I drop, you know. And that means that all of those batches of 1 kilo are treated in exactly the same way. They're not sitting around for a long time while I process.
So you get your consistency.
Get the consistency across the range, and we don't have to say to our customers, "I'm sorry, I don't have enough orders today to process your order. We're going to have to wait till more comes in. It might be later in the week."
Do you source your wood locally?
No. Well, I buy it from a butcher supplier. It's certified as being oil free. A lot of chainsaws.
Yeah.
You can't. It's not a good idea to be using.
No.
Wood chips that are cut by
Yeah.
chainsaws.
I mean, we do sell wood chips on our website, and we can only use certified approved suppliers.
Yeah. So I buy it. It's cheap enough to buy if you buy it in bulk.
Sure.
I buy it from a certified supplier.
Yeah.
The only exception to that is that I sometimes use a hand planer to make chips myself from the Bushmills whiskey barrels that I can get the States from. So but I'm in charge of.
Very nice.
I'm doing that myself, so I know that it's been handled properly and that it is.
That flies off the shelf.
Well, it does make a nice flavour. It's a bit stronger. I use beech for everything else.
Yeah, oak
nice.
Can be a little bit harsh, can't it?
So and whiskey oak is quite an unusual flavour because when you do smoke it, it gives out a very fruity.
I get when I burn. So we use whiskey oak barrels, but they're Scottish whiskey oak barrels. They have almost like a burnt sugar aroma to them. Right. I don't know if that's the same because I think they use white oak, white American oak bourbon casks.
Yes,
don't
that's
they?
right. They use a variety of casks, and I'm not sure which ones we get. But certainly there's a lot of flavour absorbed into the wood that comes back out when you roast it.
Oh, that's amazing.
So we just use these are ready to clean. So exactly the same thing. These
Very familiar.
they're not expensive.
That does look familiar to me.
They don't last forever. If you put them on a dry heat, they eventually the bottoms wear
They
out.
crack, don't they? Yeah.
Probably it's just a maintenance thing. You just have to replace them.
Absolutely.
So we have.
This is like, oh wow, right.
So we've got 3
look
hot
at
plates in here,
these.
and we have a hatch through into the packing room, which is where most scrupulous about the hygiene. So basically, just 3 little.
Oh, those are induction hobs.
No, they're
aren't they?
not.
Oh, they're
like
hot
them,
plates. Ah,
but
right,
they're
okay,
just they're just ceramic hobs. The induction hobs, I did want to use them because they're a bit more cost effective to run, but they don't work very well because of the
contact.
Yeah, that's right. The bottoms of the smokers kind of buckle.
You need that contact, don't you?
Right.
Yeah.
So they were cutting out and cutting in and switching on and switching off.
Yeah.
And I couldn't keep the heat up. It would be good to use gas, but this room would require expensive modification to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we use electricity, which until recently was quite cost effective. It's become more expensive.
Yeah.
But it's starting to come back down again. So hopefully
Thank God for that.
That's good.
Yeah.
So we hot smoke them in here. When they're ready, I stick them there and I go around to the other side, wash my hands and put on a white coat through there, put it on my head, because from that point on it's ready to eat and it's
Ready to eat. Yeah.
We blast chill it and then vacuum pack them and straight into the fridge through there.
Fantastic.
Brilliant
For delivery.
process.
Either same day delivery or
And these are your
the next day.
kilns?
No, these are, well, I only use these for cold smoking
Okay.
because I produce smoked salt, smoked pepper and another seasoning.
Right, yes.
Smoked dulce. Dulce is a type of seaweed. that
Yes,
falls
it
out
is,
here,
yeah.
And
So that's
we-
dried dulce.
dried dulce. I smoke it and then we mill it for use as a seasoning.
Oh,
so
that
we
sounds
have
amazing.
just finished a load of that. So
Oh my God.
That is-
Look at that.
the dulce.
Goodness.
It's been dried. I'll do further dry.
That's
The
amazing.
speckles on there are
Goodness me.
just some of the salt which
Oh my, that smells
black,
amazing.
isn't
dries it. Yeah, that's how
Definitely,
the blacker the better.
Yeah.
If it gets wet, well, when it's picked and dried quickly, it is black. If it gets rain on it, it goes quite pinkish, but it's nice so that you can't get it.
So you dry it before you smoke
So we
it?
dry it before we smoke it, and then we have to dry it
And then you
subsequent
dry
to
it
that.
further?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then you get a little bit of moisture in the smoking
Yes,
process,
that's right.
don't you?
So we use one of these.
Yeah.
That's
and that's driven by an air pump.
an air pump down the bottom.
Yeah.
It's a little Venturi one. I brought this back from New Zealand. It's a brand called Smoke Eye. And
I've heard of them, yeah.
They don't
yeah.
sponsor us, but
No.
that was again what I was familiar with using, and so we thought we'd go with that. It produces a very quite an intense smoke. I wouldn't really use the Smoke Eye if I have a smoker at home.
So the
I
smoke
wouldn't-
density in that is really quite high.
Very, very high.
How long does that last for? That
That's
looks about a litre of...
Yeah, that's probably
chips.
about that. 4 or 5 hours.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yes, it is. So
That's very good.
we can, if at home, I've got one of those little maize.
Oh yeah.
Smoke
Yeah, we
users.
use those.
And that's good for smoke. If you want to cold smoke salmon,
Yeah.
you can hang them there, and it doesn't produce too intense. It's not you not get that
It's a,
kind of.
it's a
acrid
low
smoky
smoke
thing.
density, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's
And a
right.
very slow burn.
It slowly keeps it nice and cool, and you can sort of estimate by the colour of the fish how far you've gone with that. I don't do it.
Yeah, we do.
Well, you've got the kit to do it, so
Yeah.
makes sense.
So that's really that's all we do. Famous legendary Irish giant, but when he was a boy, he worked as a servant to this guy Finglas, who was a druid.
That's right.
And Finglas was aware of the fact that all of the knowledge of the world had been held in 10 hazelnuts that were growing by the river. Some say the river Boyne, some say the river Bush, which is just up the road. We'll go with the river Bush, it's a local river.
Yeah.
Those hazelnuts fell into the pool and the salmon ate the hazelnuts, and so the salmon now contained all the knowledge of the world. This guy caught the salmon and gave it to Finn MacCool, who was instructed to roast it. So it would have been roasted over a hardwood fire, so it would have picked up the smoky flavours. But he was told not to eat any of it and to give it to this guy, so he was going to be the first to eat it. And he was being perfectly loyal and diligent, but when he was lifting the salmon off, his thumb touched it and got burnt, and he stuck his thumb in his mouth, and a piece of the fish adhered to his thumb. And so he was the first to eat it, and suddenly he was filled with all the knowledge of the world. And so
Brilliant.
he then went on to have a very adventurous life. He built the Giant's Causeway, in fact. So that was one of his
We
feats.
read that yesterday.
But whenever he got in a difficult situation, he would stick his thumb in his mouth, which would give him enough knowledge to figure out a way out or whatever.
Fantastic. What a story.
So there it is. That's his dogs, Gran, and I can't remember the name of the other dog.
Oh, what a lovely figure.
So, yeah.
Oh, how lovely.
Oh, look at that. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll buy that off you.
Okay, you can have that.
No, I'll buy it off you.
No,
I'll
no,
buy it.
yeah.
I'll sort that out.
I'll tell you what I'll do.
I'll pop that there for
Go
now.
near your salt and your dulce.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
Oh, do you know what?
We'll buy that.
We'll have some of that.
We will buy that.
£6 for a set of all three.
That's
and
amazing.
4 for that. How's
Give that man 10 for Rory's hot smoked trout. Oh my goodness me. Smoked roasted to perfection. That is absolutely delicious. Well done, mate. And what a visit. I'd recommend anyone to get their hot smoked trout from this guy, because he certainly knows what he's doing. Well, I hope you liked the video. What a wonderful visit. I'll definitely go there again if ever I'm in Northern Ireland. And let me know what you think in the comments. And if there's anything else you'd like me to feature on the channel, please let me know. And I will try and do that in the future. In the meantime, folks, take care. Have a good one. Have a smoky one. And I'll see you on the next video. Cheers now. Bye-bye.